Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul. And this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Holly Crabtree, creator of the UK-based Hollydaysatsea YouTube channel, Instagram platform, and Facebook group. Holly is visiting the Joy of Cruising podcast today to discuss mainly her recent cruise on the inaugural sailing of the highly anticipated Princess Cruises Sun Princess, which you might have heard me refer to as perhaps my future favorite ship. I am so smitten by this new ship, which I am not booked on until April 2025, that I arranged for a cruising content creator to come on the podcast and further pique my interest. Also, of course, to share with the listeners all the bells and whistles on the shiny new gigantic sea playground. The originally scheduled inaugural cruise was canceled, so I got another content creator who was on the follow-up cruise. It too was canceled. The third time was a charm, and I am thankful my friend and cruise influencer Holly was scheduled to be on the Sun Princess, and we are glad to have her on the Joy of Cruising podcast. Holly is a multi-award-winning cruise expert who says she is more passionate about cruising than ever before, and am excited to share my experience, tips and tricks, and the mistakes you can avoid. Holly sold cruises for over 35 years and decided to share all the insights she has learned with the cruise community on her various platforms. She points out her channel throws in a little Yorkshire humor, the odd cocktail making class with some fabulous cruise cocktail recipes, and of course, my favorite cruise wine recommendations. So come and join me on this amazing and fun adventure as I cruise around the world, sharing all I know to make your cruise experience fabulous. I am so glad Holly is here to share her story with the listeners of the Joy of Cruising podcast. Welcome, Holly, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Huge welcome to you, Paul. Huge welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Really looking forward to chatting to you today.
So how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing really good, thank you. Yeah, well, I say I'm doing really good, but I've just got off the Sun Princess, so I'm a bit sad, if I'm honest. It's not a great feeling when you're having to get off and you're back at home in the rain.
No, I know exactly what you mean, and I want to hear all the details about Sun Princess.
Oh, I'm going to tell you them.
But before we talk about Sun, introduce yourself to the listeners. Where you're from, where you live, your professional background, family, anything you would like to share.
I am from Bolton, a little town called Bolton in Lancashire, and well, I say it's little, but and I lived there for about 24 years, and then I met a Yorkshire man, and I moved from Lancashire over to Yorkshire. So there's a bit of a divide, Paul, with Lancashire and Yorkshire. So I had to get my passport out. My family weren't happy that I was going to the dark side, but went over to Yorkshire and married. We had 2 children. My eldest daughter, she's left home with a boyfriend. My son, now if anybody listening will probably appreciate how I feel, because he's 24 and is about to leave the nest. So when your youngest child is about to leave, there's been a few tears, Paul. There has. There's been a few tears. Moving out this weekend. So it's just me and my dog. I'm single. There's me and my dog Buster, who's a little Shishon, bear puppy, he's 12. And my friends keep saying they're so pleased I'm doing this job because they're hoping that when I'm on board, I might meet a nice officer. So I agree with them. I hope that's the case. So you never know, do you? You never know. So professional background, I've been in the travel industry since 1980. This is my 36th year. I started on the 8th of the 8th, 88, and been in travel all that time and sold holidays all that time. I've done travel agency work, and it was only in 2012 where the company I was working for, Going Places, I've been there for 17 years, shut down, so we're all made redundant. And a friend of mine said, why don't you work for a cruise specialist company? Because I was so passionate about cruise. And for a cruise company up until 2 years ago as a cruise agent. And then 2 years ago, I made the decision to not become a cruise travel agent anymore, and become a cruise influencer full time. And here I am, absolutely loving it.
Very good, very good.
So you're never too old to follow your dreams, Paul.
I hear you. I'm older than you are, and I've been cruising a long time, but I got into cruising as for lack of a better way of saying, a creator pretty late in life. So you're right, you're never too old to follow your dreams.
No, not at all.
So I know your most recent cruise was Sun Princess, and we'll talk about that shortly. What other recent cruises have you sailed on, and like the last year or so? Talk about that.
Yeah, the last year I've been pretty busy. I started off in 2023 on P&O Cruises' new ship Avia around the Caribbean. I disembarked, and then I was on MSC's new ship, the World Europa, around the Med in Yacht Club, which was the best suite experience I've ever experienced. It was, the whole butler ship within a ship. It was amazing. Disembarked from World Europa and then went on to Regal Princess around the British Isles. Then I was back on Avia around the Mediterranean, and then Sky Princess around the Canaries. And then I was very grateful to be invited to the christening ceremony in Miami of Celebrity Ascent. So 2023 was a very busy year for Holidays at Sea, yes.
Just based on the last year, it sounds like you have quite a bit of experience with Princess Cruises. So one of the questions that I'll ask you: how does Sun contrast or compare with your previous Princess Cruises? But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's go back to the beginning. Talk about your first cruise. What was it, and what were your initial impressions?
Well, I started the job, as I said, in 1988, and believe it or not, my first cruise wasn't until 2008. So 20 years in the business, and I had the opportunity to go on the Ocean Village. I don't know if you remember the...
No.
She was a great ship, and it was a one-nighter, an agent's trip, where we just got to stay on board for one night and experience it. And I was already passionate about the cruise industry, so I really wanted to find out what it was all about rather than just selling them. So I went on board, and I remember even now, we had dinner in the specialty restaurant, which was by Chef James Martin. And I remember I had the best steak and kidney pie I've ever had. Now, bear in mind, I'm from a country, a town that is focused on eating pies. They call Wiganers and Lancashire pie eaters. And I had the best steak and kidney pie. The food was fantastic. The entertainment and the shows, the drinks flowed, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. And there was something very special, and I'll never forget that experience. When I got off that ship, I knew that was something that I wanted to pursue. And that's exactly what I did. And my career then focused into really shouting about how amazing the cruise industry is and the cruising holidays. So the streets, so to speak, to bars, restaurants, you name it, with cruise deals and information on how a cruising experience was going to be so good. And at that time, we, in the store I was in, we tripled our business within a year. Cruising account managers come in and train the staff on how, on all the ships, so to speak. Yeah, it was something that I really wanted to share. And it was at a time where the cruise industry was booming.
Let me go back to that cruise for a minute. I'm not familiar with that ship, but what cruise line was it?
The Ocean Village were part of P&O Cruises, the Carnival Corporation.
Okay, P&O. Okay. So how soon? Clearly, you were hooked after one cruise. How soon did you cruise again?
Pretty soon after. Well, 2010.
Okay.
I haven't stopped cruising since then. So in 2010, that was my first experience of Celebrity, my first experience of Norwegian Cruise Lines, my first experience of Princess, and my first experience of an expedition cruise as well, which was Hurtigruten. So I had the passion, I had the bug, and it's just excelled from there, really. but all down to that one night on the Ocean Village.
You started cruising and blogging, and you threw yourself into it wholeheartedly. And then all of a sudden, everything came to a screeching halt. That must have been difficult for you. Talk about what did you do? How did you handle the shutdown?
Yeah, it was, because at that time I was a cruise specialist for an online cruise agency, cruise.co.uk, and we started to cruise.co.uk do land holidays in the Far East and cruise and stay holidays, and we started to get word in February, March 2020 that the cruise ports was shutting down and not allowing the ships in. I remained working. We were working 24 hours a day. At first, repatriating passengers back to the UK as quickly as we possibly could. And then it was all the administration of people had cruises booked, and we were working tirelessly to get them rebooked. Then there was refund through to the cancellation. So it was 2 years, Paul, and it was very challenging. But the one thing that came out of that cruise industry on its own, and my personal experience, was how the cruise industry came together. The cruise industry, it didn't matter what your role was at that time, but we all support, and we still do, of course, now. But yes, it was a challenging time for everyone.
Were you confident things would come back pretty quickly?
I was hoping that in the early days, you just didn't know what was going to happen, of course. From the cruise lines themselves, the cruise companies were working tirelessly, but of course it was down to the government how that panned out. But we were so lucky that in May 2021, MSC were the first cruise company to put the ships on the water, and Seacation cruises start. And that was in May. And then I was lucky to be on Iona maiden voyage in August 2021 on a Seacation cruise. And it was just so unbelievably wonderful to be back at sea, not just for passengers, but for the crew.
So was that your first cruise back, Iona?
Yes, it was. It was the maiden voyage for P&O Cruises Iona. Yes. And it was fantastic. And obviously it was still very strict at that time. There was face masks, etc. But I remember being in the club lounge at the back of the ship. You couldn't dance. You couldn't get on the dance floor, do any dancing. And they were singing "Hi Ho Silver Lining." Everybody was sat down with their arms in the air, singing the song at the top of our voices. And we were all looking at each other as if to say,
Wow.
Thank you that we are able to do this right now. And it was a wonderful, wonderful moment. Yeah.
That sounds pretty emotional.
It was.
I'm surprised. I'm sure that when you were sitting and singing along with the crowd, there was, enforced social distancing. Seems like they would have allowed you to dance with social distancing as well.
No, they didn't. No, there was no dancing. There was no dancing for quite a while. But you know what? I didn't mind that. I was just glad to be on board. Whatever I had to do to keep myself and everybody safe, and all the other passengers felt the same way, we were just glad to be on board. But the ships had been sailing since May, and this was in the August. So we were just glad to be on board, even sit there and sing, and just to be, even in the theatre, we were allowed in the theatre, but you couldn't sit next to somebody else. It had to be, I think, 2 or 3 seats in between each person, with masks on at all times. So we were just grateful to be, and I absolutely loved that cruise. We didn't get off. You couldn't get off. It was just sailed up to Scotland, to Iona's namesake island, firework display, and then sail back. A wonderful, wonderful trip.
Now, in talking to a lot of content creators and influencers, when cruising started back up, they hit the ground running. They just went on cruise after cruise. How did talk about your return? What did you do after Iona? Series of cruises, or?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, Iona was the first one that I went on. But I was still, at that point, I was still in an agency, and we were still dealing with the aftermath of cancellations and cancellations and cancellations. So anybody in that side of the industry, it was quite a very busy time, and our priority was looking after customers. It was only kind of once things settled down, that in 2022, that after Iona, that I started going on a couple of cruises that year.
So let's talk about Sun Princess. You've got the floor. Tell us all about it.
Oh, wow. Goodness me. Wow, wow, wow.
Start at embarkation.
Oh, goodness me. For anybody that has been on a princess ship before, you can get on, say, for example, last year I was on Regal and Sky, and the ships are very similar. So you can get on a princess ship and you kind of know it's very familiar. Sun Princess is completely blew my mind because, and bearing in mind, I've been wanting to go on this ship for months and months and months. So even the emotional feeling of finally, of course, it was the third sailing, which was the maiden, but to finally step on board for the first time, it was emotional. You were greeted by directors, Jason and Corinne. Everybody was dancing, everyone was smiling, but I'll never forget that moment that I walked on board, and there was a tear in the eye, Paul. I'm not going to lie, there was a tear in the eye. It blew my mind because I wasn't getting on a princess ship that I knew and loved. I was getting on something brand new that I didn't even know where anything was. It was completely unknown to me. I'd studied the deck plan, of course, but I didn't realise how different it was, but different in a good way. In a good way, because Sun Princess, the old princess ships are very oldie worldy, very traditional, but the Sun Princess, you can almost feel that you're in a different, it's more elevated into luxury. Everything. You've still got the familiarity of some of the bars and restaurants, but they've been reimagined. They are now more luxurious. They've changed some of the menus. It's just incredible. I absolutely loved that ship, and I cannot wait to be back on board. But one thing that is the same, even though there's many things on that ship that have changed for the good, is this crew. The crew, they are absolutely incredible. They're amazing, amazing group of people, and you can see how proud they are to be on that ship and to be working on that ship. And it's funny because a lot of the crew that I met, I met them on Sky Princess last October and Regal Princess last June, and they'd moved to the Sun. So it was so nice to see them again. Restaurants, I sampled all the new specialty dining restaurants.
Oh, talk about them individually, because I'm a big proponent of cruise eating, and I've caught the specialty restaurant bug in the last few years. So tell us all about the special. And you know, I had on the show Chef Rudy a few weeks ago. So his venture.
Even better than that, Paul. I met the man himself and interviewed him.
Oh wow! if I had known that, I would have told you to tell him, say, hey, remember Paul and the podcast? But
that's coming up on YouTube next week.
Okay, I'll be looking out for that.
Yeah, so I'm like you. I'm very into specialty dining restaurants when I'm on board, and Catch by Rudy is already my favourite specialty. So I knew I had to book that. So on the last Thursday, I wanted to try the new one. So I booked Hot Pot. Now, there wasn't really a lot of information before the maiden on what Hot Pot exactly was.
So I'm sorry, that's not on the other princess ships.
Yeah, it's new to Sun Princess's Hot Pot. It's $49 to eat in Hot Pot, and it's an experiential dining. Of course, you've got on Sun Princess, you've got included dining, casual dining, specialty dining, and experiential dining. So experiential dining is more like where it's a shared experience. So you're all dining and together, which I'll explain. So
sure.
Hot Pot is in a shared dining room with umai teppanyaki, and it's a Japanese dining experience, and you sit at a table of 4. You have a bowl in the middle that has got broth, a spicy broth and a not so spicy broth. Then you can choose whether you want a meat a platter or a fish platter or a vegetarian platter. You get a noodles platter and vegetable platter, and you basically cook the food. So I've done that before. I have been to Japan and I've done that before. So it was really good. The food was superb, as was the serve. And yeah, and the cocktails. Goodness me, those cocktails in there were a bit potent. They were, Paul. But so that was the dining experience. You sit at a table and you cook your own food. You can either choose fish, meat, or vegetarian. So that was that, and that lasted about 2 hours, but it was a lovely, lovely experience. So that was on the Thursday. On the Friday, I booked Butcher's Block by Dario, the imagery that Princess had put out on the Butcher's Block, but nobody knew exactly what to expect. And this is a specialty dining experience at $49 per person.
So Holly, let me interrupt again. So Butcher's Block is new to Sun Princess?
It is, yes.
What is the steakhouse on the other Princess ships?
The Crown Grill.
Yeah, sure. I've heard.
Yes.
And that's also on Sun Princess, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So I was like you, Paul. I thought the Butcher's Block was going to be an elevated Crown Grill experience.
So what is? I mean, that sounds. I'm going to guess that's like a steak.
It isn't. It's I don't know how to explain it, Paul, but it was good fun. You are sat at a table, and this gentleman goes around all the tables introducing himself, and he has tomahawks in his hand. He's got steaks in his hand. He's got all different types of meats. And basically, it's kind of a meat buffet, a carafe of red wine included, some salad, and a jacket potato. And he'll come round and he'll give you steak tartare. Then he'll come round with some more meat. And there was that much meat coming, Paul. I forgot what I was getting. So if you are a meat eater, but the meat was lovely, it was lovely and tender. It was beautiful. But I had a massive bone of a tomahawk steak in my mouth at one point. It was such good fun, but you have to love meat.
Yeah.
But I think it was a bit too much meat for me, if I'm honest, but the whole dining experience was so much fun. It was worth it just for that. Get a few friends around a table with your carafe of red wine, and this guy was amazing. And it was such a fun experience. So I loved it. But yes, so if you're going to book it, please do. But you need to love your meat.
Yeah, it sounds almost like I've been to some Brazilian steakhouses.
Okay.
In fact, on my last cruise, which was on NCL a couple of weeks ago, but it was a place where they would come around and they'd have meats on skewers, and then they would cut you a piece. You know, they would have all kinds of meat, and then they would have lamb, even chicken, and they had pork too. So my wife and I, we did a reflections podcast about that trip, and I think I used the words meat overdose. So
that is it, meat overdose. Yes, but this was all the beef from a cow.
So it was all
beef.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it was all different areas because you actually get a picture of a cow and it's all numbered. So you get different parts of the cow and you get it cooked in different ways. So which was good. And then you get also different sauces and different seasoning to put on it, and this salt, you could salt it yourself. So yes, so it was a meat overload, but what an experience. Never experienced anything like that before, but goodness me, did we. So that was brand new for Sun Princess. Then on Saturday evening, Catch by Rudy, which I've eaten before on Sky. Again, a specialty dining restaurant at $49. And I wanted to order different food from the menu, what I'd eaten on Sky Princess. They have a starter, Paul, and it's $30 is this starter. And it comes in a big bowl with ice, and you've got all different kinds of fish. On top, you've got scallops. It came and it was wow. And I'm filming this experience. I'm in front of a camera. All of a sudden, I felt something on my shoulder, and this gentleman had walked across, seen me filming, looked at me into camera and went, "Hi, I'm Rudy."
Oh, wow. Now he didn't previously know you, right? He just saw you filming.
No, he didn't know. he saw me filming, and he came and went, "Hi, I'm Rudy." My face was. And this is still, so I'm going to post this on social media, because the look on my face, it was pure disbelief, because this is my favourite restaurant. I'm having this fantastic starter, filming it, that I've paid $30 for. And he is just beside me. And I think he was wondering what was going on with me filming. Anyway, so I said, would you mind us having a chat? And me asking you a few questions, because I was very invested in Catch by Rudy. And no problem, the nicest man in the world. He came and sat down, and
Wow.
it was what a lovely, lovely man. So that's going on YouTube next week. Is that? It was wonderful. But the Catch by Rudy is amazing if you like seafood. The food, the experience is.
Oh, I love seafood. Trip I have on Sun Princess, I've got 4 specialty meals included.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Catch by Rudy was automatically, that's going to be,
Yes.
one of the 4. But go ahead. What else did you do?
So the other one, the final one, because I was only on for 5 nights, and was a brand new for Sun Princess again, and that's Umai Teppanyaki. And that's an experiential dining experience at $49 per person. And that is, have you done teppanyaki before, Paul?
Oh yeah, I do that usually on every ship I'm on.
And me, yeah. You'll know how it works then. There's about 12 of you all sat around a table with the chef in the middle, who's cooking your food, whether you want meat or fish. And then he starts singing, dancing, throwing food at you to catch in your mouth. You name it. So I knew what I was expecting, and it was my birthday on Monday, so we celebrated it on board on Sunday night. So he really made that special. Did this gentleman? They're all singing happy birthday, and a cake came out, etc. That was really nice. But yes, I loved the new dining experiences, and I'm so pleased to have more of a choice. So you've still got your old favourites, but it's nice. And I guess because there's more passengers, isn't there? There's 4,300 passengers. You need more dining experiences to cater for more passengers. My favourite one, though, is still Catch by Rudy.
Did you, I'm sure you tried the main dining room?
Yes, I did. The main dining room, a different concept on Sun Princess. It's on 3 levels, and on deck 6 and deck 7 is the same menu. And then on deck 8 is an American diner, which all 3 decks are all included in the holiday cost. So if you are on fixed dining, you go into the main dining room on deck 6. Freedom dining is on deck 7, and then if you fancy pancakes or waffles or ribs or chicken dippers, etc., or burgers, then you go to deck 8, the American diner. The menu is the same on deck 6 and 7, but different on deck 8.
Now, I know for Princess, they have a category of complimentary, I guess it's complimentary, depends on the plan you have, what they call casual dining. So tell the listeners, for those who have not been on Prince, tell the listeners about what casual dining means, and then talk about what your experience.
Well, casual dining is now where there are 2 casual dining restaurants on Sun Princess. That's Alfredo's Pizzeria and O'Malley's Irish Bar. And what that means is, if you want to eat at Alfredo's Pizzas, and their pizzas are to die for, goodness me, or you want to eat in O'Malley's burgers again, and pub grub, if I'm honest with you, you pay $14.99 to eat in either of those casual dining restaurants. If you have purchased Princess Plus package, you get 2 meals included. So you get 2 visits either. So you could do one to O'Malley's and one to Alfredo's. If you have the Premier package, you have unlimited visits to the casual dining restaurants. So you either pay $14.99, you get 2 free visits or unlimited free visits, depending on your package.
I'm surprised there's only two options. I do have the premier package, which is unlimited casual, but it sounds like there's not a whole lot to choose from in that regard.
Last year I was on Regal Princess, and I had the premier package, and I literally ate in Alfredo's every single day and had different, but I was in there for lunch because I absolutely loved it. And there was only one, remember, now there's two. So it's no different to what they've not had before. But there's so many other places to eat. You've got the eatery now as well as the main dining room.
What's
so the eatery, that is a reimagined marketplace. So
buffet. Okay.
So, but it's changed. So the buffet restaurant that you may have known previously on deck 15 is now no more. It's now on deck 9, and it's being called the eatery. Now, what I like about the eatery is that it's kind of, you walk in and you go. So you walk in and you could go to a bar. You don't help yourself though. Your food is done for you. So you don't help yourself. But the first section is Mongolian. So you can try Mongolian food. Then you've got Asian. Then you've got Mexican. Then you've got Italian. So other cruise lines have done this in the past. This is just new for Princess. So for example, if you fancy an Italian, then you go to the Italian section and then you can have Italian choices. And I did have pasta and it was wonderful. So if you fancy Mexican, you can go and have nachos or fajitas in the Mexican section. So it's like that, and it's all included in the price. Plus there's outdoor dining as well, which I like. So you've got al fresco dining. So you can go and get your Mexican, and if the weather's warm, then you can go outside and eat al fresco. But it was it's a great option.
So I have a confession to make. I consider myself. I try to have a lot of diversity in my cruising, and I've gone on a lot of lines, but I've never been on Princess. So
Wow.
this is my. I don't know. Maybe this is an age thing, but this is my time to check items off my bucket list, and so I said, I got to get on Princess, and so I booked Sun Princess to be my introduction to Princess. I've read or heard from a lot of Princess fans that Sun Princess is the more family oriented of the Princess ships. What makes this ship, even though I don't have young children anymore, what makes family oriented?
It is because, and they are exactly right, this is the ship that's most geared up for families, and that's because at the back of the ship you have Park 19, and Park 19 is very much geared up for children of all ages. So you've got on Park 19, you've got the roll glider, which is the hang gliding experience where you sat down, you hang, and you go on like a glider around the back of the ship. So that's for children. You've got a rock climbing wall where you climb up to 2 decks.
Let me stop you. That hang gliding, that's not just for kids, right? That's adults too.
I hope so. Yeah, it'll be for adults as well.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
It wasn't available. It wasn't ready when I was on this last week, but when I go back on Sun, I'll be the first in the queue. In fact, you'll laugh, because when I got on board, the first thing I had in my mind was, I want to go to guest services because I want to book the roll glider.
Okay. So they don't have anything like that on the other Princess ships.
No,
okay.
This is new for Princess. Park 19 is new for Princess. So yes, so you've got hammocks for the kids to lie in. It's kind of a real social aspect. You've got a rock climbing wall. You've got ropes as well. You've got rope swing bridges. And then you've got the lookout as well, which you can look out with lovely views of the port or the sea. And then you've got 2 slides. So that's really good. So yes, they've never had that before for children. So that's great. And that's for all children's ages. and I don't
Did you
forget.
see a lot of kids on the inaugural?
No, I'll be honest. I only saw two.
Really?
Yeah, I only saw two kids. They were swimming in the pool in the dome. So I didn't see any other children on board. So yeah, no, not on. But maybe because it wasn't school holiday, so
Okay.
that's probably why. Maybe in school holiday time, then it'll be a different story.
Talk about the dome. I had someone on, a creator who visited Sun during construction. You know, it was maybe from her videos, it was maybe 70% done. A lot of discussion about the dome, and I understand that not all was complete on your cruise. But talk about the dome.
Now, I'm glad you've pointed on that, because I put when I was on board, I put a post on social media about the dome. That is my favourite place on board. It's the dome, and the dome itself is completed and usable. Everybody was using it. It's completely done. It's just the entertainment on an evening that's still not 100% there yet. But the dome itself is done, and I spent a lot of time in the dome. And it was, I loved it.
So the entertainment that wasn't ready, so the dome is done, so you could go in the dome.
Yeah, they've got some great entertainment.
What did you do in the dome other than if not to watch entertainment?
During the day, it's kind of a tranquil haze of peace.
Okay. Place in the dome when it's ready. So what did
the sunbeds? I mean, they've said they've inspired it from Santorini. It's on different levels. And the dome, it's covered. It doesn't. Somebody asked me, does it retract? It doesn't. You've got like a standing waterfall. You've got at the back of the dome. You've got thick cushioned seating that you can sink into. You've got your pool. So it's kind of like, for me, it's an indoor spa feel to it. It's nice, peaceful. You can go there, have a cocktail, read a good book on these luxury lounges, and just have some you time. And what I like as well is the pool area. The pool, half of it is indoor and half of it is out, and it's heated and it's fresh. And then when you go out of the dome, you've got a beautiful bar and a beautiful terrace overlooking the front of the. It really is, Paul, honestly. When you get on board next year, make sure you have a good look at the dome, and because it's beautiful. It really is. Yeah, my favorite.
Are there eateries in the dome?
No, there's not. There is a bar. There is a bar in the dome and a bar outside the dome, but it's just there for. It's like a nice tranquil setting to go there and relax.
So those deep cushioned, and that was relaxing just to hear you talk about that. Those deeply cushioned chairs that you mentioned that you think. So are they the chairs you would sit in to watch the performance, or does the formatting is it changed at night for the entertainment?
Do you know what? That's a really good question. So I guess we'll find out more about how it will change when the entertainment starts in the dome.
What else stood out for you on Sun?
Another thing that I liked was the piazza. Now, what I loved about the piazza. Now, for anybody that has been on Princess before, the piazza is the atrium of the ship, and it's the heart and soul of the ship. And what I found on Sun Princess is that the atrium spans 3 decks, and you have multi-level seating all around the piazza on each deck. The piazza itself can hold a lot more passengers around it, so you're not struggling to find somewhere to sit. So you can view the piazza on level ground on deck 7, deck 8, or deck 9, but there's plenty of multi-level seating all around. So it makes it a really great entertainment venue.
You can have entertainment in the piazza at the same time you have entertainment in the dome.
Yes, you could. Yes. There are lots of entertainment venues around the ship. There's Princess Live as well. Princess Live on Princess is renowned for doing game shows, quizzes. They have comedians there all the time, so it's also called the Laugh Lounge. So I didn't get a chance to see the comedians, but I did walk past and hear everybody laughing, as I did on formal night. So they have a lot, and I love a comedian. I don't know about you.
Probably right below cruising is stand-up comedy. So for me, so I've actually had a couple of stand-up comedians on the show, on the podcast. And I literally just yesterday I had an interview. I recorded an interview. Stand-up comedian. He's actually going to be the comedian and host on. I mentioned to you, as we were getting started, I mentioned to you I'm going on a river cruise this summer, and he's going to be the comedian and host on the river cruise.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I actually have two scheduled to come on the show. So yes, the long answer to your question, I am really into stand-up comedy.
Oh, brilliant. Well, there's lots of comedians in Princess Live, so that's great. And quizzes, I absolutely love a quiz. So yeah, Princess Live has always been the place to go for a quiz show and a comedian. So they've really elevated those experiences and excelled in more quizzes and more comedians in the Princess Live, because that's what we all.
Is that a separate venue, or is that part of the Piazza or part of the Dome?
It's a separate venue.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's a separate venue. So you've got lots of venues around the ship, as you would on any ship. And there's also O'Malley's Irish Bar. That's new for some princess. So who doesn't love an Irish bar as well, with a live band on, live music as you're eating?
Did you have like a headliner, a show?
The Dome is kind of, you've got Princess Arena now. Princess Arena, that's replaces the theatre, so that's where you have the main shows. So
now that's separate from the Dome. Wow, sounds like there's a lot of entertainment venues.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, the Dome is just one area of entertainment on an evening, but there are so many others to choose.
Okay. See, I thought that the Dome took the place of the theater.
No, it doesn't. No, that's added something new for Princess.
Do you remember who the headliner was, or what the headliner's act was about?
Well, in the Princess Arena, the shows, the headliner acts, or the Princess Arena isn't quite.
Okay.
The headliners that they have come into the Piazza. So until Princess Arena is ready. We had there's a band on, or a sea shanty band. I've seen them before. They're called the Trawler Men. They would have been in the arena, but they were in the Piazza instead. And they were brilliant. They're a brilliant band. I was only on for 5 nights, so I saw Tribute. She was amazing. She goes around the world singing Whitney Houston. She was in the Piazza. She was really good. She would have been in the arena.
I think I know who you're referring to, because I've been trying for a couple of months to get her to come on the show, unless this is a different Whitney Houston singer, but yes.
Yeah, she was spectacular. She really was. So you're not going to be short, Paul, of entertainment venues on the Sun.
How soon are you going back?
Next year, I'm going to book the Star.
Oh, okay.
So the Star is the sister ship, of course, the second ship. So yes, I'll be definitely on the Star Princess next summer. Next August, she launches. So yeah, I'm very keen. I'm always really keen when you've got a certain class. They always kind of, when the new Sphere class comes out, then there may be different elements to the Star Princess that aren't on the Sun. So it's really been a pleasure to experience this journey with Princess Cruises and to experience the new Sphere class, because in my book, she is 100% my favorite princess ship so far.
Well, speaking of favorite ships, I have at least 2 more creators who are coming on the show to talk about their experiences on Sun. And in my introduction of you, referred to the Sun as, I said, I even said, Sun Princess is my future new favorite ship. Because I've read so much about it and I'm so excited about it. Right now, my favorite ship is Celebrity Beyond, but I'm booked on its sister ship, which you mentioned that you traveled on, the Ascent. We'll see if that replaces Beyond as my favorite ship, and then My next cruise actually is on Virgin Voyages, another bucket list item I'm checking off because I've never done Virgin Voyages and I've never done transatlantic. So I'm doing a transatlantic on Virgin in several weeks. From everything I've read and heard, that may very well become my favorite ship. But but
See, Virgin Voyages was the first ship I did after the Iona. I was on the Valiant Lady around the Med. Love, love, love the food. You love food, the dining venues, the wake, especially. If you book the wake and you can get a wake view just by at the back of the wake. Oh, goodness me. You sat in a hot tub, Paul. Imagine this. You sat in a hot tub with a Prosecco in your hand. But it's empty. A waiter comes to you and takes the empty Prosecco glass out of your hand and replaces it with a newly fully fledged glass of Prosecco, and you haven't even asked him. That was the Voyages.
you are just making me even more and more anxious for these several weeks to fly by. We start off with 8 sea days because, as I mentioned, it's a transatlantic. So in those 8 sea days, my goal is to try everything, everything. And so every time I get someone on who's been on Virgin Voyages, I get turned on to a new drink to try or a new food item to try. So I have like I think it's 16 days. I have them almost all planned out, or at least the things that I plan to try. Although I'm going to Pink Agave, but I'm not trying the drink with the crickets in it. That I'll pass on. Did you try that?
No, I didn't know. I'm quite yeah, I stick to I say I stick to what I like, but this cruise I haven't at all. But no, I
Uh-huh.
didn't. I'm a Sauvignon Blanc kind of girl, Paul, to be honest with you. But yes, yeah, cocktail, especially on the Sun Princess cocktails. You've got Crooner's Bar. Crooner's Bar was my go-to at the end of each evening. And it was kind of like you've been on Beyond, you've got the martini,
Right.
and that's where everybody kind of goes to after dinner. Well, for me, Crooner's Bar was like that. And they've got some incredible cocktails, but they've got some very much specialty cocktails as well. If you're on the Premier package, the $20, but it's kind of a cocktail experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really nice. So if you like your gin and your vodka, then great. And your banana cocktails are amazing as well. Banana and Bailey's, Paul.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time. It's what
Yeah.
BBC.
BBC cream.
Yeah, Bailey's banana colada. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one.
Let's talk about the future. You already alluded to one ship, the Star. Going to say some great ships are coming out. Any that you are very anxious to try, and you've already mentioned one, right? That you said that's the Star. It's called the Star.
Star Princess.
Star Princess. Okay. What anything else you really have your eyes on? Have you been on Icon yet?
No, but that's on my list for this year.
Okay.
The number one new ship that for 2025 this is talking for is Celebrity XL.
Okay.
Celebrity XL. So of course my favorite ship was the Ascent. I've done the other. I've not done Beyond, but I've done the Apex, and I loved the Ascent. That was my favorite Edge class. So I'm really excited to see the XL next year and to see how they have elevated that ship from.
So XL is a new class?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So she comes out next year, and so I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to try as well Explorer Journey. Explorer Journeys have got a new ship out in August, so I'm really looking forward to trying Explorer Journeys, a luxury brand. And expedition cruising. I'm really interested in trying expedition cruising going forward because I think expedition is growing and growing. So I really want that's a bucket list for me.
What destination or type of vessel is on your cruise bucket list?
I think the Explorer journeys, the smaller luxurious vessel, and the expedition cruises, Paul, that kind of experience, and the smaller luxury boutique cruises.
Have you been on a river cruise?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What line did you try?
It was a company. They're not around anymore, sadly. This was in 2015, and they're not around anymore. I can't even remember the name, but this was from Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the food was fantastic. Which river cruise are you doing, Paul?
Amma Waterways.
Oh, Amma Waterways.
Yeah,
Wow.
Amma Christina.
Right. Well. Funnily enough, some other cruise content creators, Paul and Carol, they've just done Amma going through Vietnam.
Yeah. I have to reach out to Paul and Carol. They've been on the show. Are you working on anything special at Holidays at
I am at the moment. I am just finishing the full edit, and you will be really interested in this, Paul. I'm just nearly there now for my full Sun Princess ship. So that is going live on Friday on my YouTube channel. And that covers every single deck from deck 5 to deck 21.
I am there.
I knew you would be. Also, next week, all the videos of the specialty dining restaurants on board will be going live together with the interview with Rudy Sol. And for Holidays at Sea as a brand, I'm currently working on my next cruise clothing collection because I started this last summer, and I work with a company where people can buy cruising clothes for their cruising holiday, and it went really well. So it's really important to me. My tagline is that when somebody buys one of my dresses, it will fit them at the end of the cruise as well as the beginning of the cruise, all one size.
Now I won't be ordering any dresses. Do you have any men's apparel?
No, it's just cruise dresses at the moment, but you never know, Paul.
All right.
I'm also be opening my own merchandise store. I've already got a wait list for my luggage labels that I've done really well last year, and lanyards as well. Together with so there's a lot coming with the Holidays at Sea brand, and I also have Holideals at Sea. So that's my Facebook group that I started, and that's where I negotiate cruise deals, and I work with a travel agency, cruise.com, for all the best cruise deals that you can get, and that's Hollydaysatsea at Sea.
Have you ever done a Holidays at Sea group cruise, or do you see that in your future?
Yeah, I've done group cruises before for when I was a cruise specialist with cruise.co.uk. But it is definitely in the pipeline. It will probably be with Princess Cruises, and I'll be for 25 or 26. It will be a 7-night cruise from Southampton, and I will be doing including excursions. So we'll all go on an excursion together. I'll be hosting a welcome party. I'll be hosting a cocktail party. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And that will be either 2025 or 2026.
Mm-hmm. So,
I have before.
Speaking of Southampton, I'll be experiencing Southampton for the first time next year. And of course, I'll get to get I have a cruise book that goes to Norway, and it leaves from Southampton.
Lovely. Yep. Oh, Southampton's a great port.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so easy, quick embarkation as well. Very well. Yeah, it's a great port to sail from. Well, one of the biggest ports in the world, isn't it?
Good. So how can our listeners follow Holidays at Sea on social media and the internet?
They can follow me on Instagram. Holidays at Sea is all one word. And it's the same name on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, or Hollydaysatsea at Sea is my Facebook group. So they can follow me there if they're looking for a cruise deal as well.
Now, when they look for you, Holidays at Sea is not. It's spelled Hollydaysatsea at Sea, right?
Yes, it is. It's a play on words. So yes, it is. It's HOLLY Holidays. I used to, when I started 10 years ago for the specific cruise agency, I had a blog, and it was called Holiday Tales, HOLLYDAY. Holiday TALES. So I've just changed the tails to at sea, and it's all one word. So it's Holidays at Sea, all one word. Yes, and they can just type that into Google, Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram.
Well, Holly, this has been great. But before we let you go, a couple of fun cruise questions, or maybe not fun, light cruise questions, and then perhaps an oddball question. And I call it oddball question only in that it doesn't necessarily relate directly to cruising. So the first one's kind of easy, and you've already talked a little bit about this for me to get some ideas. So what's your favorite cruise drink, which you mentioned, I think, but mention again, and cruise food?
Right, going to drink. My favourite drink is, and this was on Iona, and it's a Sauvignon Blanc called the Holy Snail. And a funny story, I had the chance to meet Ollie Smith, who he organises the wine on P&O Cruises in the Glass House. And I met him for lunch, and I gave him a snail. It was a little snail ornament, and I gave him, and he said, well, he wondered what I was giving him a snail for. And I said, just please make sure the Holy Snail is on Arvia, because it's as smooth and as creamy as you like, Paul. It is beautiful. And I came home and I ordered myself a crate of it. So that's my go-to cruise drink. And since then, I've spoke about it so much on my channel. And I know quite a lot of people like the Holy Snail. And the cruise food, oh, goodness me, it's got to be one thing, Paul. And I'm sure you will have had it if you've been on Celebrity, but you can get it on all cruise lines. And that's, have you had the French onion soup?
Yes, my wife and I both like French onion soup.
Oh, yeah, the French onion soup on Celebrity and Princess in the Crown Grill on Princess, the French onion, oh, it's to die for. I always have that as my starter.
Okay, I will keep that in mind. The second question, what's your most memorable or funniest or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
I guess I'm going to have to. I can't think. I've probably had millions of embarrassing cruises experience, but I can't think of any. But the most memorable, when I went to the shipyard, when I did a shipyard on P&O Cruises' brand new ship Arvia. P&O Cruises invited me to be one of their behind-the-scenes Arvia insiders. And they created so many memorable experiences for us. So I had lunch at Jose Pizarro's restaurant. He was a food hero on board. I drank wine and got drunk with Ollie Smith. I cooked with Shivi Ramatar as well, because she does Caribbean cuisine in the beach house. And I went to the to the shipyard. And so, but I think that's probably one of my most memorable experiences. That was incredible to be able to have that opportunity with P&O
Sounds like an amazing opportunity. Finally, Holly, you have a large following, and welcome to the Hollydaysatsea followers and any of Holly's friends listening. We hope you have enjoyed what you have heard, and we'll come back to the Joy of Cruising podcast to check out other episodes. Holly, share one thing that my listeners and your followers and friends don't know about Holly.
Well, Paul, are you ready for this?
Give it to me.
My real name is not Holly. My real name is Beverly. And the reason for that is because when I was offered the job for cruise.co.uk in 2013, they were a home working call centre, and they said, we have a Beverly working for us and we can only have somebody with the same name. So they said, the job's yours, but you have to change your name. So really alien to me. And I thought, well, what am I going to change my name to? And I thought I need to change it to something I remember. So I thought Holly is my daughter's name. So I thought, well, if I change it to my daughter's name, then I'll never forget. I'll remember. It was either that or my dog Buster.
Well, I'm glad you chose your daughter's name, number one. But number two, that's perfect for what your brand became, Hollydaysatsea.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, but yes, it did. So I've been Holly ever since, and I'm now more as Holly than I'm known now as more as Holly than I am Beverly, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. Holly, it is so good to get to meet you virtually. Thank you for coming on the Joy of Cruising podcast. I've already told you, I want you to come back. So we'll chat about that. You're going to be doing so many great things in 24 and 25. Hopefully it's not, let's not wait until you get on the star, because you said that's like the middle of 25.
Oh, yes. No, not at all.
Yeah. We'll have you back on sooner rather than
I
later.
look forward to that, Paul. Yes, thank you.
But thank you so much, and all the best to Holidays at Sea. And as I like to say, we'll see you on the ocean.
Thanks, Paul. It's been great.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99, can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.